The Legacy by Joel Adams, read by the author. For all who were once victims but are now survivors, may you all be blessed. A higher power has charted the course for my life, and my feet are set on that path. Now I will just be still. Adagio St. John's Journal. Asheville, North Carolina. I am so tired, I can't move. Dropping into a chair at one of the restaurant tables, I count the tips I've made for the night. Using a linen napkin, I wipe the remaining beads of perspiration from my forehead, grateful that my workday is over. It had been a very busy shift, and I am pretty sure I have done well. After counting my cash and the tips left on credit card receipts, I smile. I have indeed done well, and just as I normally do after every shift, I silently thank the good Lord for blessing me with the money I need. Somehow I am always able to reach my nightly goal. After I pay my rent and buy some groceries, I will have a little money left to buy a new pair of shoes, which I desperately need. I need other things as well, but they will just have to wait. One of my coworkers calls from behind the bar. "Cicely, you need a ride home?" I gratefully accept the offer. It saves me the taxi fare I will have to pay because there are no buses running late at night. By the time I get to the small apartment I call home, I'm so exhausted I can barely change into my pajamas. Slipping into bed, I turn out the light, hoping my tiredness is a good sign. Maybe I'll be able to forego the usual thoughts that haunt me, no matter how hard I try to keep them away. Maybe tonight I will have some peace. But as soon as I close my eyes, the familiar feelings of loneliness and doubt of my worth fill my heart once more. Not tonight. I won't feel this way tonight. Instead, I try to focus my thoughts on a dream I had a week ago today. In the dream, I sat next to a little boy on the bank of a beautiful river. He was young, but his emerald eyes were full of wisdom. He told me that because I had changed my life, new changes would soon come, and I will be blessed with great and marvelous things. He said that God had a wonderful life prepared for me, and though I will still go through sorrow and great trials, I will one day come to experience joy unlike any I have ever known. He told me these things were promised to me before this life, and will only be mine if I remain strong. I have no idea what these changes will be. I only hope I will be ready for the future and everything that will come with it. I also hope I will be worthy of these wondrous gifts when they do come. Chapter 1. Having stuffed my last pair of jeans into a large suitcase, I zip it shut and hope the seams won't burst. It was given to me by a friend because I've never had one of my own. I've never traveled anywhere before to need one, and until now, I never thought I would. After filling the carry-on bag with a few cosmetics and toiletries I possess, I take in my reflection in the large mirror hanging above an old cracked dresser that until today held all my clothes. It has to be the oldest piece of furniture in the apartment. Studying the brown-skinned woman looking back at me, I smile, but my honey-colored eyes hold a sadness I have never been able to rid them of. People have always told me I have sad eyes. I know it is true, yet they aren't privy to the pain behind my eyes. I have never let anyone get close enough. I don't know if I ever will. Running a brush through the dark auburn hair hanging down past my shoulders, I push it back with a brown headband. I ponder adding a few curls but decide against it. Straightening the collar of the yellow blouse I purchased for this trip, I apply some clear gloss to my full lips. a coat of mascara to my lashes, and a touch of blush to my cheeks. Studying my reflection once more, I decide this is as good as it's going to get. I have always considered myself average looking, and hard as I try, I just can't see what others say they see when they look at me. I have been told by the people around me that I am beautiful, that my skin is satiny smooth, my voluptuous figure very trim, and my voice is like silk to the ears. Truthfully, I have never seen any of these things, and I can't help but wonder how and why others see them. Pondering this a moment, I deduct that my mind has somehow been trained to think there isn't anything about me that is worth much, and no matter how hard I try to tell myself otherwise, all I ever see are flaws. Sighing, I sit on the edge of the bed and look around the almost bare studio apartment I've lived in for the past year and a half. A bout of sadness envelops me as I think about my life up to this point, and once again, I begin to doubt my worth. In my 22 years of life, I have seen and suffered things no one should have to. Having been raised by an alcoholic mother and an abusive father, childhood was nothing but miserable for me. From the age of 6 to 12 years old, while other children were laughing and playing and sharing their secrets with friends, I was a woman child, barely surviving and telling my secrets to no one. In the afternoons, after school, when I should have been busy being a child, I was subjected to the screams of my mother as my father beat her. And at night, while other children were safely tucked in their beds and sleeping, I was forced to endure the sickening presence of my father in my room as he abused and defiled me. One day my mother finally found the courage to leave her husband. She packed our things while he was working and moved us from Charlotte back to her hometown of Asheville. Unfortunately, the move was too little too late, for my life had been permanently scarred, and it didn't help that every man my mother moved into our home seemed to think I should be part of the deal. In the past, I had felt dirty and cheap, but more than anything, I felt alone. There was no one I could turn to and share my painful burdens. Later in life, that loneliness guided me to make decisions that only added to my misery, bringing even more shame upon me. A single tear slips down my cheek as I remember the days and nights of endless partying, each manic episode filled with drugs, alcohol, and many times immoral conduct. When I was younger, my father made it his solemn duty to tell me repeatedly that I was worthless and only good for one thing in life. It seemed his comments found a permanent place in my mind and heart. My father had foreseen my future and had helped as much as he could to make that future happen. But I know that in the end, the choices had been my own, just as the choice to finally change had been. A heavy melancholy encompasses me as I think back to the day I made the decision to abandon the self-destructive lifestyle. It was a little over a year ago. I had just gotten home from work. I was tired, my feet were sore after working all day waiting tables, and I was looking forward to a tall can of beer and some rest. I had just sat down when there was a knock at the door. When I opened the door to a braid-wearing teenage girl donning heavy makeup, a dirty miniskirt, and scuffed-up high heels, one of them broken, my first words were, "Sorry, no customers at this house." She gave me a teary smile and replied, "I am not looking for a customer. I'm looking for a way out." She hesitated and then added, "You may not believe this, but I was praying earlier, asking the Lord for help, and a voice guided me to your door." Warm tears streamed down my face as I pondered how my heart had instantly gone out to her. I knew the life she lived and what she'd suffered before reaching this point. No, I didn't know her. I had never seen her before, but I knew because I had been there myself. Stepping aside, I invited her in and listened as she talked. My suspicions about her abusive childhood confirmed. I fed her a meal, invited her to use my shower, and gave her some clean clothes to change into. Taking the tips that I'd made that day from my purse, I called her a cab, took her to the bus station, and put her on a bus to Raleigh to go and live with her aunt. When I got back home, I sat on the sofa, closed my eyes, and cried. Nothing I had ever done in my life left me feeling as much peace as that one act had. I immediately threw away every bit of alcohol in the apartment, vowing to never take another drink, pop another pill, smoke another joint for the rest of my life. I stopped partying and made a commitment to change my life. I was determined to do this despite family members and friends telling me I would never change. Sadly, there was no support from anyone except the counselor assigned to me when I enrolled in a free substance abuse program. No one in my family, nor the people I associated with, would let go of the past, so how was I supposed to? I couldn't escape it because it surrounded me and was constantly being thrown back in my face. Even now, I still struggle with doubts. I've listened to several motivational talks on learning to forgive oneself, letting go of the past mistakes, and moving on, but the messages never seem to stick, and in my heart, I continue to feel too unworthy to deserve more in life. We reap what we sow, as they say. Apparently, I haven't sowed enough good. Opening my purse, I pull out a letter that came in the mail 3 weeks ago. It is from an older woman named Jessica who lives in Salt Lake City, Utah. I met Jessica Kelly at a motivational conference for women that was held downtown. We sat next to each other and were instantly taken with one another. At the close of the conference, Jessica told me she wanted to get to know me better. Reflex prompted me to ask why. There just had to be a hidden reason, of course, but I bit my tongue. We had lunch together the next day, and throughout that week, when I wasn't working, I spent a great deal of time with her, and we did many things together, seeing and visiting places in the city that I never thought I would. Jessica managed to get me to open up a little about my life, something I had never done before. I don't know how she did it. Maybe a deeper part of me needed to share, if only to relieve a little pressure. Though I didn't give many details, the little I shared with her brought the poor woman to tears. I hated making her cry, but I appreciated that she cared. In that week, I grew to care about Jessica a great deal, and I found myself wishing my own mother could be more like her. How sad that in just 1 week, I developed more of a relationship with the older woman than I ever had with my own mother. Jessica told me she has always been alone. She never married, and it saddened her that she was never blessed with children of her own. And except for the times her nephew comes to visit from Australia, her life is basically a solitary one. I read the letter again in renewed awe. Jessica invited me to come and stay with her for a while in Salt Lake City. She even sent a plane ticket with the letter, making it harder for me to say no, just as she had known it would. She knows me well. I've never dreamed of going so far away, and to say I am nervous is an understatement. But the excitement of starting over somewhere where no one knows me or anything about my past overrides my nervousness. I reread the last part of the letter. Now I know you don't like to feel like you're not pulling your own weight, so before you say no, I just want to tell you I own a women's clothing boutique downtown. One of my sales ladies had to quit suddenly. The position is yours if you want it. It is only 3 days a week, so we will still have plenty of time to visit and sightsee and, of course, shop. We are going to have the time of our lives. It will mean so much to me to have you here, Cicely, more than you could ever know. Call me soon. Much love, Jessica. Hearing the taxi honking outside, I refold the letter and slip it back into my purse. After touching up my makeup, I place the key to the apartment on the counter for the landlord. Sadly, there are no more goodbyes to be said. My mother doesn't seem to care that I am leaving, neither does anyone else for that matter. But I have received various opinions on how they think my life will turn out. You'll be back, my so-called friends told me. You're going to be right back here partying with the rest of us. You can never escape where you've been or who you are. Squeezing my eyes shut, I shake my head to dislodge the negative thoughts. Looking around the half-empty room one last time, I grab my bags and leave.